They say that if you do your job right, people won't be sure you've done anything at all. Right now, my phone is blowing up with missed calls and text messages. 5,000 miles away, in a glass and steel tower in Chicago, a billion-dollar logistics firm is currently having a heart attack. Semi-trucks are stopping in the middle of highways because their routing data just vanished. Container ships are sitting idle at the docks because their manifests have been replaced by strings of gibberish. And in the center of the chaos is a man named Derek, screaming at an empty office chair. I could fix the problem. I could fix it in about 30 seconds with 4 lines of code. But I'm not going to, because I'm currently on a permanent sabbatical. And Derek? Well, Derek is finally getting exactly what he asked for. But to understand how I broke the company by doing exactly what I was told, we have to go back to the day Derek walked into my office. For 5 years, I was what they call a load-bearing employee. I was a systems architect, but in reality, I was the ghost. Most people in the company didn't know my last name. Some coworkers didn't even know my first name. To the sales team, I was the tech guy. To the C-suite, I was a line item under maintenance. I built the Nexus. Over half a decade, I grew it into the nervous system of the entire company. It was a masterpiece of efficiency, but it was held together by my own personal architecture. I knew every quirk, every ghost in the machine, every line of code that needed a little nudge at 3 a.m. just to keep the gears turning. I liked being the ghost. I had a quiet office, a 6-figure salary, and the autonomy to work how I wanted. I was the invisible pillar holding up the roof, and as long as the roof didn't fall, nobody cared about the pillar. Then, the CEO's sister had a son who finished his MBA. Enter Derek, the new Vice President of Operational Synergy, a title that meant absolutely nothing, given to a man who knew even less. Derek didn't walk, he strutted. He didn't talk, he leveraged dialogue. Within 48 hours, he replaced the premium coffee with a wellness bean that tasted like burnt dirt and sent out a memo about trimming the fat. Derek strolled into my office and asked me, "So, you're the IT guy, right? Arthur?" I replied, "It's Alex." I didn't even look up from my monitor. Right, listen, Alexander. I've been looking at the budget. You're a pretty expensive ghost for a company that's trying to pivot into a leaner, more agile ecosystem. Tell me, what is it you actually do all day? Because I see a lot of maintenance and not a lot of innovation. I tried to explain. I showed him the proposal for Nexus 2.0, a complete overhaul that would save the company $20 million a year. Derek flipped through the folder, barely glancing at the charts. Yeah, lots of numbers, very techy. I'll take this. I need to socialize these concepts with the board. In the meantime, Alexander, try to look busy. Synergy doesn't build itself. 2 weeks later, I was called into the boardroom. I had my notes ready. I was ready to finally step out of the shadows. But there was Derek, at the head of the table. The PowerPoint behind him read, Project Phoenix, A Strategic Vision, by Derek Vance. My heart hit the floor. It wasn't just my ideas, it was my actual presentation. He'd literally just used find and replace to put his name where mine used to be. So, as you can see, by disrupting our current stagnant architecture, which, let's be honest, has been neglected for years, I've designed Project Phoenix to revolutionize our bottom line. It's about agility. It's about cutting the dead weight. The CEO was nodding, impressed. He looked at me. Alex, glad you're here. Derek says you've been helping him gather the raw data for his vision. Do you have anything to add? I looked at Derek. He was smirking. Actually, Mr. CEO, Alex was just about to head out. Low-level stuff. Right, Alex? He passed me a $5 bill. On your way out, be a pal and grab me a double-shot espresso from the lobby. I'm going to be in here for a while, explaining the heavy lifting to the board. Thanks, champ. In that moment, the rage didn't boil over. It froze. I realized Derek didn't just want my work. He wanted me gone. Of course, Derek, I said. My voice was steady. I'll make sure everything is exactly where it needs to be. I didn't get the coffee. I went to my desk and opened a secure connection to HR. And there it was. Row 142, column G. Action. Immediate termination. Effective date, September 30th. The Friday before the golden quarter. October 1st, the highest stress window of the year. Derek was planning to kick the person who built the engine out the door, right as it was about to redline. Okay, Derek, I whispered to the empty room. Let's optimize. Over the next 2 weeks, I became the most cooperative employee in history. Derek ordered all redundant manual overrides removed. He called them legacy clutter. In reality, they were the emergency brakes. I deleted them. Every single one. Then came the big one. Alexander, why are we paying for triple redundant cold storage? It's a waste. Leverage the local hardware, champ. I didn't argue. I moved the master encryption keys, the digital passcodes to the entire system, off the cloud, and onto 2 physical USB keys. Then, following Derek's written order to clear the cloud, I wiped the remote backups. The company's entire digital existence was now stored on a piece of plastic the size of a stick of gum. And that stick of gum was going into my pocket. I had 5 weeks of accrued PTO. I knew Derek would try to fire me for cause on the 30th to avoid paying it out. So, I took my vacation early. I sent the request through. I knew Derek's workflow. He just clicked Approve All so he could get back to looking at Tesla stock prices on Yahoo Finance. He didn't even read the dates. He just authorized me to be out of the country 3 days before he planned to fire me. My last day. I walked into Derek's office. Derek, I'm heading out. We need to go over the system stability for the launch. Yeah, Project Phoenix is fine, Alexander. I've reviewed the metrics. You did a good job, following my lead. Sir, the system won't have a safety net if the load exceeds 40%, and the encryption keys are no longer on the server. They are stored locally. God, you tech guys are such gatekeepers, always trying to make it sound like the world will end without you. I've optimized the human error out of the equation. That's what leadership looks like. I'm sure you're right, Derek. I'll be completely off the grid. Peace and quiet. Monday, October 1st, 8 a.m. The lungs collapsed. Without the overrides, Project Phoenix did exactly what the code told it to do. It prioritized speed over accuracy. By 9 a.m., shipments meant for Seattle were in Miami. Perishable goods were rotting. Payroll locked itself down. 6,000 drivers saw their paychecks vanish. I heard Derek was in the server room, sweating, staring at a screen that said, "Access denied." He tried to log into the cloud backups he'd ordered me to delete. All he got was 404 messages. He was yelling, "Where are the keys? Someone call Alex." I wasn't answering because I wasn't at my desk, Derek. I wasn't even on the same continent. I let the phone ring. Once. Twice. On the third ring, I picked up. Alex? Alex, thank God. Everything is down. Derek says you took the keys? Hello, Mr. CEO. I'm sorry. I'm on my approved vacation. Derek told me I needed to practice the agile spirit. I don't care about the spirit. We're losing $400,000 an hour. Derek said the system was optimized. It was, sir. Optimized exactly to his written specifications. I have the signed memos right here. I just followed orders. Fix it. I'll double your salary. I'll give you Derek's office. That's a generous offer, but I happened to see the termination list, the one where Derek slated me to be fired on the 30th. The silence lasted 10 seconds. Then the CEO's voice dropped to a whisper. What do you want, Alex? 1. A flat consulting fee of $250,000. Wired. Now. 2. My full severance and a written admission that my termination was a strategic error. 3. A recommendation signed by you. And 4. I want Derek out of that building within the hour. No severance. No nephew protection. $250,000? That's extortion. No, sir. That's market-driven disruption. You told me yourself, the system should run itself. I'm just charging for the privilege of proving you wrong. The wire will be there in 10 minutes. Send the keys. It took me 30 seconds to fix. I didn't even have to leave my lounge chair. Derek tried to sue, but the CEO dumped every one of those efficiency memos I'd saved onto the legal team's desk. Last I heard, Derek is leveraging his synergy as a junior sales associate at a used car lot. As for me, that $250,000 bought me a lot of peace and quiet. Because here's the moral of the story. You can replace a worker. You can automate a process. But you should never, ever fire the person who knows where the bodies and the code are buried.